women panel. That is actually a very interesting conversation that you can't afford to miss. Women on Ruto's scorecard is a conversation this morning. In studio, I'll be joined by Honorable Beatrice Elachi. She is the Dagoretti North Member of Parliament. Sheila Olang, economic and political expert. Vivian Tar, communication and public affairs expert, and as well Ruth Kinyanjui, a political governance and economic analyst. All women. We'll be focusing on some of the promises that President William Ruto made before the election and after the 2022 general election, and even as already there are concerns of femicide cases rising. So far, they have hit a record of 97 cases in 3 months. According to the DCI and the National Police Service, this is actually an alarming rate, as the murder cases have been increasing in the last 2 years. Is the government doing enough to protect the women of this country? That is a question that I'm posing this morning. Even as already there was a promise that was made on establishing women's agency to deal with the sexual harassment. That was a promise that was made by President William Ruto while signing a charter with women. Also, President William Ruto promised free sanitary towels to all girls in the country. We'll be figuring out if that at all is happening. Half of his cabinet was to be considered. The gender parity actually was to be considered. We'll also be just dissecting what we have currently, if at all it meets the threshold. Remember, at one point, President William Ruto said his next second in command or deputy will be a woman. So now there was an opportunity for that particular promise to be fulfilled with the oust of Rigathi Gachagua. However, remember, there is a stay order that is through a conservatory order that was obtained at the Kerugoya locals, and so, however, Kithure Kindiki has been already nominated and approved by Parliament to replace Gachagua in the event the conservatory orders will be set aside today at 2:30 p.m. in a ruling that will be done by a 3-judge bench of the High Court. We are closely monitoring that. But President William Ruto having an option to pick the likes of, Gladys Wanga, who is the Homa Bay governor, Anne Waiguru, Kirinyaga governor, he instead opted to pick Kithure Kindiki. So was the president keen in fulfilling his promise of having at least a deputy president who is a woman? We'll be highlighting that and discussing the possibility of Ruto maybe in the 2027 general election also picking a woman to fill that slot. President William Ruto also promised to settle the 2/3 gender rule within, of course, or rather by his administration. This is a pledge that was also made to the women of this country. On top of that, 50 billion hustler fund that will be allocated, or that actually will be budgeted for, or out of the 50 billion hustler fund, some of it will be ring-fenced for women to boost their businesses, that is MSMEs and SMEs. Has that since happened, or was it hot air? Also, we ask, what became of 3 months supply of free diapers to the women who will give birth? That was a promise that President William Ruto gave. Also enhancing the NGAF, that is the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, from 2 billion to 3 billion Kenya shillings. These are just some of the issues that we'll be highlighting as far as women matters are concerned, at a time that, once again, femicide cases are on the rise. Also, what became of the gender CS position? Remember, she was not replaced after the maiden budget was dismissed. That will form a better part of our conversation this morning. Start the conversation of our social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. I'll be glad to sample some of them before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. We begin with these stories before getting to highlight what is in our dailies. Police in Uasin Gishu County are holding 2 officials from a private school for failing to register their candidates for the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment exams and making them sit fake exams. The 2 directors from Silver Bells Academy based in Kimumu Estate, that is in Eldoret, were arrested on Wednesday when police and education officers stormed the premises following concerns raised by parents. County Director of Education, that is John Gitonga, confirmed the incident as he announced the immediate closure of the school. Timothy Simwa reports from Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County.
In the outskirts of Eldoret City, these are parents of the 23 candidates who supposedly should be sitting their Kenya Primary School Education Assessment exams, KPSEA. To their dismay, parents in this school squeezed within a compound in Kimumu Estate discovered today they were being duped.
Najulikana kama Andrew Makoha. Mimi ni mzazi wa Silver Bell, mmoja wao ambaye nimeathirika kwa ajili ya mtoto kutokufanya mtihani.
Nikatoka hapo saa 7 hadi kwa ofisi ya container. Ningoje Silver Bell ikileta mtihani yao wakisil, wameleta mtihani 4. I waited until saa 8. Silver Bell hakuna dalili.
The school is not registered and the exams their children were sitting are fake.
Tumeweka pale watoto kwa miaka 6 tukijua shule iko registered. Shule baada ya watoto kumaliza kufika grade 6 sasa tunangojea wafanye mtihani. Wameletewa mtihani ambayo si mtihani halali.
Mtihani watoto watamaliza lini? Ni leo. So nilikuwa na ile wasiwasi ya kwamba hawa watoto wanafanya mtihani leo iliali ile mtihani walifanya jana mtihani hine. Nikamuuliza, is this exam legit? Akaniuliza, akaniambia iko sawa, mtihani hatuna shida nayo, mtihani iko sawa.
Since the beginning of KPSEA exams, the parents claim the school's management has been taking them in circles.
Tukafika saa 4 tukafika pale na class representative akatuambia watoto wanaendelea na mtihani, everything is sorted. Tukauliza director, watoto watafanya mtihani hadi saa 7, mtihani 4, national exam, wanafanya dakika ngapi? Watoto wako sharp, hata wameshamaliza mtihani ya kwanza. That was the reply.
Kumbe mtihani yenye mtoto amefanya ni mtihani kushi. So as a parent tumeumia.
When their lies could no longer hold, education officials say the owners of the school decided to reprint last year's exams and re-edited them.
Gundua shule haijakuwa registered na watoto pia hawajakuwa registered kufanya mtihani. Na mwalimu mkuu na wenye shule walikuwa wakipatia watoto mtihani gushi wakisema kuwa ni mtihani ya NEC.
When we confronted one of the owners of the school, she was at pains to explain, claiming she was duped by rogue officers who issued her with fake registration certificates.
Tuliregister na kuna afisa mwenye tulitumia asaidiane kuregister sababu director alikuwa mgonjwa hata na kila wazazi wenyewe wanajua. So tukatumia huyo afisa kufanya nini? Kuregister hiyo shule. Alan Kenyatta akiwa officer wa education. Hata maofisa wengine wamekuwa mkikuja hapo. So sisi tukapeana pesa. Hata ilikuwa inalipwa kwa e-citizen through the phone.
Uasin Gishu County Director of Education John Gitonga has announced the closure of the school, even as he promised parents that the Education Ministry will intervene to help the 23 affected grade 6 candidates.
For now, we are consulting with the NEC officials, but let us not comment on that because we have not consulted properly. We are still doing investigation.
Timothy Simwa, K24 TV.
Well, we now focus on this story that will also form a better part of our conversation this morning. 97 women have been murdered in the last 3 months, according to a report by the National Police Service. According to Deputy Police Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat, National Police Service is committed to investigating all femicide-related cases. DCI boss Amin Mohamed, while contradicting DIG Lagat, however, says that not all murder can be attributed to gender-based violence, but the opposition is calling for resignation of President William Ruto, whom they claim has failed in protecting Kenyans. And as Martin Opio report, telcos providing data to security agencies have also been accused of contributing to the rising spate of abductions in the country.
In light of the rising spate of femicide killings, both the DCI and the National Police Service have now spoken out. Police Deputy Inspector General admits that there is a crisis as 97 cases of female murder cases have been reported countrywide in the last 3 months.
In the last 3 months alone, the country has reported 97 cases of femicide. This troubling trend highlights the urgent need for focused actions and collaboration to tackle the widespread problem of gender-based violence in our society.
Lagat, while listing some of the cases that have been brought to the book by the police agency, has assured Kenyans of its commitment in addressing and investigating all femicide-related cases in the country. This will be done by ensuring justice is served to the victims and families as well.
The National Police Service remains dedicated to robust measures aimed at combating femicide. Our commitment enhancing law enforcement capabilities and building community awareness and support system.
On his part, the DCI, while appearing to contradict the DIG, claimed that whereas there has been a surge in femicide cases, not all can be attributed to gender-based attacks.
We are not saying that there is a deliberate effort to target women. Majority of the cases that we investigated, the motive is purely criminal. There was no intention to specifically target the members of the gender, of the female gender.
The country has been grappling with serious murder cases involving women, latest being the Eastleigh murder case, where the DCI maintained that they were handling the situation. According to the Internal Security PS, the government will not relent in ensuring the fight is won, with the aftermath leaving many families devastated, but is also blaming the mental wellness of those behind the crimes.
People have continued to become very aggressive for reasons that we may not understand. But one thing for sure is that we have mental issues. Some people get so depressed and they become, I would say they become impatient.
While the DCI and the police were absolving themselves from the spate of kidnappings in the country, the political class was turning the hit on the agency and telcos that are said to be part of the larger raft, working with agency and releasing private data to them, in the process aiding abductions in the country.
Despite overwhelming evidence, including that of the Deputy President, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, during the impeachment trial, Mr. Ruto continues to claim that he is not aware of any such incidents. Ruto further says that these abductions, extrajudicial killings, are fake news and propaganda that is hurting our nation.
The Data Protection Act of 2019 gives effect to Article 31C and D of the Constitution and provides for the protection of personal data by requiring organizations to obtain consent from individuals before collecting, using, or disclosing their personal information.
The DCI is denying these allegations.
Issues of the police mobile conspiring with the service providers, we don't do that completely. If at all we are interested to get information from the service providers, we do so through the lawful means.
The Inspector General of Police and the Interior Ministry and the National Administration were also put on the spot for overseeing service that the opposition claims has gone rogue.
As officers of the National Police Service involved in any abduction whatsoever, we uphold the constitutional rights, the constitutional standards, and the fundamental rights of freedom. So we don't abduct. Like I said, if we arrest people, we take them to court, to gazetted police stations, and then subsequently arraign them before court.
Meanwhile, the DCI has confirmed the arrest of another suspect in the murder of Wells Fargo HR manager and the recovery of his firearm.
We are progressing fairly well. As of last night, we were able to apprehend 2 people. and also we were able to recover a firearm that was robbed off from the deceased.
The 25-year-old suspect will be remanded in police custody for 21 days to allow the police to complete investigations, according to a Siaya court verdict. Victor Okoth Ouma, who was arrested at Dandaura in Nairobi, will be detained at Railways Police Station in Kisumu after the Directorate of Criminal Investigations through the State Counsel, Evan Soita, made a miscellaneous applications to hold him. Martin Opio, K24 TV.
Away from that, impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on his supporters to maintain peace despite any outcome in the ongoing cases at the corridors of justice. Gachagua is said to know his fate today at 2:30 p.m. when a three-judge bench of the High Court will rule on whether to lift or extend conservatory orders restraining Kithure Kindiki from being sworn in as the Deputy President. The Court of Appeal will also begin hearing a case challenging the ruling by the High Court that Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu lawfully empaneled a bench looking into Gachagua's impeachment petitions.
Speaking in Limuru, Kiambu County, where he attended a burial ceremony, impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua had a message for his political supporters, especially in his political bedrock, amidst the political storm he's facing.
Unajua kuna watu walikuwa wanasema na huyu Rigathi Gachagua hana wafuasi Mlima Kenya, mbona watu watoki kwa barabara, hawakishi moto, hapigi kelele. Hiyo si tabia yetu. Sisi si watu ya kwenda barabara, sisi si watu ya kuwakisha tairi, sisi watu ya kupiga kelele. Sisi tukiona tunanyama, iko siku tunafanyanga vile natakika.
Gachagua is said to know his fate on Thursday at 2:30 p.m. on whether he will remain in office as the second in command.
We have faith that our judiciary will protect and uphold the Constitution of Kenya and will exercise fairness and give justice to Rigathi Gachagua and his supporters. That is our prayer.
The application to set aside conservatory orders has since been objected by his lawyers who expressed the dangers of such a decision.
You'll be urged to set aside the conservatory orders on the basis that there is constitutional crisis that is looming. But who has precipitated and created this constitutional crisis, if it does exist, if not the respondents?
The Deputy President remains in office. There is no vacuum, there is no insecurity.
You have an opportunity of arresting a situation that will lead to the use of public resources in a public ceremony that may, in the fullness of time, end up be declared as unconstitutional.
They further argue that there is no leadership vacuum in the office of the Deputy President, as Gachagua is the substantive DP.
We cannot possibly live with a decision in which we would be seeing the Chief Justice, where, if that were to be the case, you would be seeing the Chief Justice swearing on Rapo Kindiki while we are arguing this matter before the court.
What remedy can the court issue in the circumstances that a case is brought out that the Constitution has been abrogated and violated by the respondents, if it's not a conservatory order?
The Court of Appeal at the same time will on Thursday 10:30 a.m. hear a case challenging the ruling by the High Court that Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu can empanel a bench that is looking into the petitions challenging Gachagua's removal from office. Gachagua's request to suspend the sittings by the High Court's three-judge bench, consisting of Eric Ogola, Anthony Mrima and Frida Mugambi, did not see the light of the day as the bench had the application on lifting or extending conservatory orders on Tuesday as planned. Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.
We focus now on matters of education. There is a shortage of approximately 72,000 JSS teachers due to insufficient hiring funds. This according to Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos, who noted that the teachers will be retooled in multiple grade 9 subjects to bridge the gap. Meanwhile, the Kenya Primary School Heads Association says that the association of 1 million shillings for construction of a single classroom is inadequate, noting that many schools will require more than 2 classrooms. Harry Chimea reports.
As preparations for grade 9 curriculum continues, there are rising concerns if schools are fully equipped.
30.6 billion for junior capitation.
Presenting his responses before the Senate, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos disclosed that there is a shortage of 72,000 JSS teachers, among other challenges.
Therefore, for junior school teachers in 2025 will be 149,350 teachers. The teachers on duty will be 76,928, resulting in a shortage of 72,422 teachers. The government will progressively recruit more teachers to bridge this gap.
The Ministry of Education has, however, defended itself, saying it will retrain teachers in more than 2 grade 9 subjects. So far, 60,642 teachers from grade 7 and 8 have been retrained for grade 9 subjects, along with 19,660 head teachers who have also received the training.
The teachers will undergo further retooling in November and December to prepare them to handle grade 9. The Commission, in collaboration with the Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa, SHEMASTEA, has also provided a specialized telemed retooling program for 7,700 teachers teaching integrated science and mathematics to cover that gap. That substantially reduces that shortage of 72,422.
Migos further vowed that classrooms will be ready by December 15th.
We have done 3,500, 7,500, and the other 6,000 are in various stages of completion. Each classroom is taking between 6 and 8 weeks to complete. And we have been going around the country and commissioning those that have been completed.
However, it remains unclear which schools have been built so far, especially among the MPs tasked with constructing an additional 6,000 classrooms.
If the MPs have got the finances to put up classrooms, they should have started yesterday. What information about where to put up these classrooms are they waiting for? And already the records are showing that junior school is domiciled in primary schools.
This situation has raised concerns among public primary school heads who argue that 1 million shillings is not enough for constructing a classroom, noting that many schools will require 3 classrooms for grade 9.
There should be clearance that the boards are authorized to construct these classrooms and use the fastest method. There are some challenges on, have you followed the process? Which process have you followed? So those are methods which will delay. The monies which have been sent are not enough. Because a school which needs 10 classrooms as per the ratio which is recommended for a secondary, they are being given money for 5 classrooms.
The KEPSHA chair has further called on the government to hire more teachers at a time when the state is ironically planning to seek placements abroad for 400,000 unemployed teachers, claiming it does not have enough in its coffers to employ locally. It's now a wait-and-see situation on whether the government will fulfill its promises to enhance the education of over 1 million grade 9 learners. Harriet Chimea, K24.
At this juncture, we take a short commercial break. When we come back, I'll be engaging my panelists, an all-women panel, even as we focus on women on Ruto's scorecard. Several promises had been and have been made by President William Ruto's government. And just to highlight some of them, and this is a question that we pose, what became of some of the promises, like 3 months supply of free diapers to women after they give birth? Also,